Hi all, Knife Edge UK here. Got a bit of a special one on the table. Whoops, I'm knocking things in the corner before I even start. You know what though? I'm just going to carry on. Okay, so what have we got today? We've got a CMF by Ian Pekarski. I really hope I'm getting your name right, Ian. It's a bit of a name to conjure with in the custom knife world, and it's a really nice piece. So before we get any further on, let's do a few size comparisons just for the sake of, you know, size comparisonness. So there you go, next to a large Sebenza 21, next to a MP1 from Hindra, next to a 3-inch Shamwari. As you can see, it's a little bit larger than that, and it's certainly got more presence in hand. I'll tell you what, we'll do a 3.3-inch Shamwari as well, so you have a kind of idea of where it sits with that. And one more, we'll do a Oz Machine Company Roosevelt. So we're not a million miles away in terms of overall size. So what is this knife? This is, as I say, by CMF, Ian Pekarski. I'm going to say again, I really hope I'm getting your surname right, Ian, because I didn't check before I started filming, because I'm a prune. So yeah, so what is this? This is a CMF Mistress R for recurve mid-size. Ian makes some of the most desirable custom knives around right now, and has done for quite a while. This one is from mid 2021, I think, so it's a relatively recent build. And what we have here is what he's known best for in many ways are these kind of swooping lines. He studied under Jeff at Tough Knives, and I think some of the kind of design language, the kind of flowing, curving kind of aspects of his work kind of mirror that, and you can see where those two guys would have got on very well from a design aesthetics point of view. And it just has a look all of its own. Nothing really looks like a CMF. And yeah, they're very, very unique, and a lot of them are very, very beautiful. They're not all to my taste visually. I mean, nothing is to anyone's taste consistently, but this one I just find really attractive. It's on the simpler end of some of them, but it's still also pretty fancy. So without much further ado, let's quickly go over the knife as a whole. So you have this pretty spectacular mirror polished dense twist Damasteel blade with this recurve. It's very smooth grind. It's got a slight hollow in the recurve portion, and then it drifts out to more of a convex at the front. You have a convex swedge at the top, which is beautifully done. A really nice etch. You've got zirconium thumb studs, and then as we go back, we have this gorgeously contoured handle. You can see from the end how beautifully hand contoured this whole handle is. It's sort of a little bit chunkier at the top, and then it's smoothed down into the base. It's really nicely done. These are completely handmade knives, incidentally. From there, so you also have a zirconium pivot on both sides. This really lovely long zirconium pocket clip with a carve to it which mirrors the overall shape of the handle, which I just find really beautiful. We've got zirconium screws on the back, and then we have a Palladium silver backspacer, which is basically the highest grade of jewelry silver. It's a crazy thing to do that would look probably just about the same in polished titanium, but it's beautiful, and it's sitting on these little standoffs, so it's floating in the frame. It's gorgeously done. It's kind of a next level kind of thing to have something like that materials wise in the knife. Completely unnecessary and absolutely spectacular in its own right. And then we'll get on to, I'm going to say the functionality. You know, these knives are completely functional, but there won't be that many people actually pushing these into service, because these are really expensive directly from the maker. They're very expensive. On the secondary market, they're extremely expensive. These are handmade custom knives by one of the most in-demand custom makers around, so you'd expect them to be you know, really, really expensive. And from a, you know, fit and finish construction point of view, this is pretty much on the flawless end of the spectrum. It's got a really good detent, as you can see. Reverse flicks really nice. It's not a hard detent, you can roll it out really well, but it's a solid detent. It's not coming out of there. It's you know, it's hard to fail. I can't actually fail it, so it's hard enough, certainly. It's very, very clean. It's got a crisp break and a really nice kind of shwick sound to it. Listen. Closing action is really interesting. You've got the slight textural feeling of the Damasteel, and it's a really, really good closing action. It's not you can get it to free drop just by holding and turning. It will free drop. It's smooth enough, but it's just got this lovely slight shake action to it, and you can fidget with this for, well, I speak from experience. You can fidget with this for hours. It's a beautiful action. In hand, this is actually, I mean, you might be forgiven for thinking that this is sort of all style, these swooping curves, but it's actually really comfortable in hand. Sits nicely. You're a little bit back from the blade. You can put your forefinger, your first finger up onto this little piece of the ricasso here, and it's still comfortable. Obviously, you need to be a little bit careful not to ride up onto the edge, but it's not bad at all. It's doable. And in terms of things like the pinch grip, it's really comfortable in the pinch grip. So if you were going to press this into use, you know, I mean, no one's going to use one of these hard. But in terms of day-to-day use, particularly, you know, like opening envelopes and things like that, yeah, it's not uncomfortable by any means. It's pretty lovely in hand. Carry-wise, I've heard some people talk about Ian's pocket clips being a little bit too small here and being quite snaggy. This pocket clip works quite well. It's quite hard on the frame. When this first arrived with me, it was just sitting very slightly above the frame. So I took off the clip and bent it so it's got a bit more traction. I still find it goes in and out of the pocket pretty well. Yes, a little bit more relief under there, which I think is something he now does anyway. Would be nice, but it's not bad at all. And zirconium clips can be less than ideal because it's just not as springy as titanium, but this one does work quite well. The ramp that's been done on it, the overall sculpting and carving seems to have relieved it in the right way. It works really nicely. Obviously this is on bearings, that's where that very nice droppy action is coming from, in spite of this relatively small light blade. It's just great. Access to the lock bar, incidentally, is really good. It's very solid. Lockup's really nice, but there's quite, it doesn't have an overly aggressive amount of lock bar tension. It's just, yeah, it's excellent. So there, I mean, I can hardly believe I'm largely done in 7 minutes and, well, getting on for 8 minutes. But what else can you say apart from the fact that I put fingerprints on the blade? But never mind. No, I'm going to have to remove them. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. So, yeah, so there you go. The CMF Mistress R in mid-size. And, yeah, it's a beautiful knife. I absolutely love the overall lines of it. It's gorgeously made. Ian did an incredible job. And his sort of way of kind of almost veering knife making across to jewellery, exemplified partly by this Palladium silver backspacer, really does show. So yeah, there you go, guys. Certainly one of the more prestigious, I guess, pieces in my collection. And yeah, I really like this one. Catch you all soon. Bye-bye.